What is the law of our species? Both of them also said non-violence, to try to control our temper. So, what is the right thing to do? Look, I'm not saying, when I say that something is the law, it doesn't mean that we are all following it. There are so many, there's a traffic law, sometimes we don't follow them. There are so many laws, but nevertheless, a law remains a law. You know, when you break the law, something happens, and we are breaking the law. So, can you get this? So, why choose non-violence? This is what makes you human. It qualifies your humanness. And very often in language also we'll sometimes say, na, my God, why are you such an animal? Is there nothing human about you? Don't we use this in language? So exactly. And so non-violence, according to Gandhi, why choose non-violence? Because non-violence is the law of our species, not the nature, but the law, the right thing to do. So let's give them a hand, please. Thank you. Yeah. 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 But we, no, no. What I mean to say is, what is the purpose of human life? Let's say I'm very greedy. I have to try to control my tongue. Or, I mean, we all have, you see, violence and non violence in us. You try to control your anger. You try to be compassionate. You try to be kind. You try to be polite, don't we? We try to be on time. So, the whole purpose of human life is to try to control your lower nature by your higher nature. And there's no Indian here, but in the Bhagavad Gita also it is written. The Gita is the holy book. You know, controlling thyself by thyself. Do not allow thyself to fall. Controlling thyself means the small self is small s, by thyself, your higher self. Do not allow yourself to fall. For self alone is one's friend, and self alone is one's foe. Again, the small s and the big S. We have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You have in Christianity, Saint Paul says, I do not do the good that I want to do, but I do the evil I do not want to do. So we all have this dichotomy in us, no? But the purpose of human life is to try. That's why I kept saying to try. At least we can try to use non-violence over violence, of course, and this perfection. And please remember, it depends on your stage of evolution also, you know. Some people make a conscious effort to use non-violence and some don't. They just get angry and go on in life. So it also, I mean, depends on yourself if you want to become a better human being or not. But anyway, does this explain Gandhi? That is his reason. It's the law of our species. Now I'm not done yet. The whole quotation is from Gandhi. The law of non-violence. See, he keeps on calling it the law. In fact, if you read Gandhi, he keeps on talking about the discovery of the law of love, that it has been discovered but not applied. The rishis, or the holy people in India called rishis, the saints, who discovered the law of non-violence in the midst of violence, were greater geniuses than Newton. Discover, if you read Gandhi, it comes across. Then he goes on to say that the human being who applies the law of love with scientific precision, look at his words, the human being who applies the law of love with scientific precision can work greater wonders than the physicist who applies the laws of physics. I mean, today we've applied the laws of physics, and so we have no darkness. We've dealt with the darkness of problem. Look at his words, you know. So anyway, so it's the law which has been discovered, and the full quotation is, of course, the law of non-violence, which is the law of love, is the law of our species. If you have my visiting card, this quotation is at the back. So, and I normally do a 2-day workshop on this quotation abroad to just explain it. So, anyway, so the law of non-violence, which is the law of love, now is the law of our species. I just took the last part first. Now, here I must share something with you, because when I was studying Gandhi, I mean, in my PhD, I was about 22 years old. It was so irritating, you know, reading all the time the law of non-violence, which is the law of love. The law of non-violence, which is the law of love. It was so irritating, you know. Because at that stage of my life, I knew what was non-violence. I knew what was love. I could not see the connection. I just could not see how can non-violence be love. You know, I could understand they are both. So I must explain to you, and it was really irritating. This irritated me. There was another quotation from Gandhi where he says, "Oh, pluck out my eyes and I can live. Pluck out my nose and I can live. Pluck out my ears and I can live. Take away any organ of my body and I can live. But take away my belief in God and I will die." And at that time, I was, we all go becoming very atheist and Marxist at some point in our lives. I thought, oh my God, this man, how can you say such a thing? Take away my belief in God and I'll die. But then, you can't dismiss him. I thought, must be meaning something, you know, must be meaning something. Otherwise, how he did so much, he can't be foolish. But then so then of course, Gandhi grows on you. He grew on me. I must confess, I never chose Gandhi. He was not the first choice of my PhD thesis. My first choice was the letter Om. You know Om? I wanted to do my PhD in the letter Om, but unfortunately, my mother died when I was about 8, and my father packed me off to a fancy boarding school in the mountains in Dalhousie actually, where I studied with French and Belgian nuns of the Sacré-Cœur, Sacred Heart, and I learned French and not Sanskrit. So sad. So I didn't know Sanskrit, so how can I do my PhD? And I was too much in a hurry. How to learn a language now for 1 year? So I chose Gandhi. He was not my first choice of subject. And Gandhi grows on you. Huh? Okay, anyway, so now let's do this. So if you really want to understand non-violence, then you have to analyze and see how non-violence is love. But let me first tell you how this opened up for me. I'd gone to a orphanage, and there was one nun, one nun and one, worker. There the people just leave on the doorstep the babies and go away, or in the dustbin. When these people find them in the morning, then sometimes this person was holding the baby all the time. So I said, "Why are you holding this baby? Put it down." She says, "No, no. When you abandon a child, and the child is, what a child is, what infant, a few hours old, then if nobody picks it up for about 24 hours or 48 hours, then the child loses the desire to live because no one loves it." And there's a medical term for this. You can check it out. So this is called mother sickness. So then they have to hold that child really literally, and then it gets the warmth and feels that someone loves it, and then it can be like a normal child. And that I, for me, it was such an eye opener. I thought, my God, this small 1 day old baby, what does it know of love? But a child will die, an infant, because no one loves it. And then I just thought, my goodness, maybe I ask you too that at least in my society, let's say a man and a woman have been married for 30, 40 years, 50 years, and then suddenly the woman dies, or the man. And sometimes the spouse will die within within a month, 6 months, a year. Have you come? And it's so sad. It's not that there's no food on the table or not grandchildren, but love has gone from his life. So strange. Think about it. Please think about it. That when we are 1 day old, we need love to live. To live. So, and when we are 80 years old, we still need love to live. And I suppose in between we need it too. Isn't it? So that is why the law of non-violence, which is the law of love, because without love is the law of our species. Love is the law of our species, not hate. Love. So this is the synonyms. It's a synonym. The law of non-violence, which is the law of love. So let me now analyze, because I want to take this further for you to understand Gandhi, then apply it later on to politics, which I would like to do before we leave. So what is love? You tell me, and then I'll show you the connections. So when I'm talking about love, I'm talking about a relationship, obviously, but in a very broad sense, like you can love your mother, father, sister, brother, colleague, friend, countryman, whatever. But nevertheless, it's a relationship, right? So when you love someone, what is the main? What does it? What does it connote? What comes to your mind? One second. Because I can't take everyone's. I'm looking for some key things. So she said acceptance. Sure, but it's not a key thing. It is very right. Huh? Acceptance. And you said action? Connection. Very good. It's not the key thing. You're all right. I can come to that. But I have limited time. So I need a key word for the relationship. Choice. Okay. Unity. Okay. But what is forgiveness? Very good. Caring, sharing, communication. Sure. There are the three C's: connecting, Huh? Sorry? Feelings. Sure. What is the key word on which a relationship lasts? Come on, no. What is love? Very good, very good. Let's hand it to him. Trust. Very, very, very important. So, trust is the building. I'm not saying you all are not right. I just don't have the time. I have about at least, I have 16 components written down. I can't do all of them with you. But let's take one or two or three. Because I think we only have till 9:15, huh? We we have, huh? Okay, anyway, because I want to. Anyway, so trust. So trust is very fundamental in a relationship, even in small, small ways. Let's find out about Mary and Becky. So, Mary, if your mom says you want a very expensive laptop, hypothetical situation, and you really want it, huh? And you tell her, she says, "Look, I can't buy it now, but for your next birthday, I will give it to you." So, if she promises, does she give it? Sorry? Sometimes, no, that is different. That is fine. But if she says, or you want something, and then she says, that, okay, or let's say, she says, I'm going to come and pick you up from school. Will she be there? Okay, so trust. Yeah. So, I mean, in small, small things, no? Trust. So, trust is very, very foundational to a relationship. By the way, by this, I'm not saying that you never get cheated or there's never mistrust or whatever. But if you want a meaningful relationship with someone, meaningful, or a lasting one, it has to be based on trust, right? It's very, very important. And since Gandhi was a very spiritual person, what is spirituality? Not religion, but spirituality is a relationship with God. There also it is very, very important. Trust is very, very important. Let me give you an example from Gandhi where he says, look at his words, huh? As my faith in God grew, you build a relationship, you work on a relationship. We all know that, right? So, as my faith in God grew, my relationship with God grew, I tore up my life insurance policy because for me, it betrayed a lack of trust in God. Now, again, I'm not saying please go home and tear up life insurance policies. But for him, he felt his logic was, today life insurance is linked with tax evasion, so many things. But for him,